I will start my presentation with one rhetorical question. Are we all aware that by doing the KPIs in OKRs and doing the performance measurements, that we are actually creating a very toxic working environment? And I hope that I will show you why and how and what we need to do in order not to make those mistakes. We are always measuring how many test cases we have written, how many automated scripts, how many bugs we have found. It's always numbers, numbers, numbers. But nobody asks you what's behind it. What is the psychological toll that it took from you? What was your experience? And are we really going to quantify quality? That really is the funny question. So, my name is Panche Isaev. I am working as a QA lead at Desbird. That's a Swiss-based company. For the past 12 years, I have been helping organizations deliver better products to clients. So this is my 13th year of QA. I strongly believe that making testing rigorous and doing constant feedback, whether it's from the process of the QA or feedback towards the QA engineers, it always delivers better products, but only when done right. Today, I would like to show you my views on how and why, what I said at the introduction, how and why I think that we are creating or lacking measurements and what needs to be done in order to measure the QA performance of the whole process, also the QA performance of the employees themselves. So we will start by looking at some traditional models at the beginning, what I have experienced from past experiences from past companies, how we measure the QA process, how we measure the QA part, and then we will move on to the KPIs, the employee KPIs. So OKRs, KPIs, SMART goals, whatever you want to name them. I have seen them all. Then we are going to move to the topic of why I really think that the metrics fall short by themselves, what we need to take into consideration. And at the end, I hope that I will give you an insight of how to create and nurture QA excellence. So let me start by traditional models of QA team performance metrics. The first one, we all know it, defect detection rate. That's the ability to identify and report defects or issues in the software. Question, a rhetorical one. How do you measure this? Is there any measurement about this? It's really a tricky one because you cannot measure. You don't know how many bugs the software has. You can measure how many bugs you find, but you can never measure how many bugs there in behind that you have not found. So really, good metric, but it lacks something. The next one is test case coverage. That's the percentage of test cases executed and validated by the QA engineers. How many test cases are enough? Another question that we really fall short to answer. How many test cases do you need for the regression suite? Again, you don't have answer because as QAs, is there something as enough testing? I say no. The next one would be bug closure rate. That's the speed and efficiency of verifying and closing reported bugs. Again, it's a funny one because if you have a bug that the user cannot log in, that's a quite easy one to reproduce, quite easy to probably fix. I don't know, I'm not a developer. But that's a fast, let's say, bug detection or closure rate. But what if you have a scenario that takes many steps and many edge cases in order to reproduce? How can you measure that? So you measure the number of the tickets that you have closed, but you never measure how hard they were or what was behind them. The next one is test execution efficiency. How quickly QA engineers execute test cases. Are we really going to measure that? Are we really going to measure that I have closed 100 test cases today in 8 hours, and then somebody else closed maybe 200 in 8 hours? Is he better than me? So it really falls short. I'm taking OSP as an example, don't get me wrong. So again, a test metric that by itself, it's fine. It's always, you need to have the metrics, you need to measure this, but something is missing. Something is really missing here. The fifth one would be the regression testing efficiency or effectiveness. So This one, I agree completely here. I don't have anything to say because this is the ability to maintain the regression suite. We always, when we create test cases, we need to make sure that if something changes, if a design changes, or if a logic behind it changes, that test case would be easy to maintain. That is also happening with the test automation, whoever works in test automation. You have to think about creating test cases that are easy to maintain. And when you have a regression suite of many test cases, thousands, you really need to know on which section, where, and how you need to change. Because we work in a very dynamic environments. They will never wait for you a couple of days to just find the test case and change it and edit it with a new, let's say, design, whatever. The last one that I have came across is automation coverage. This again is the percentage of test cases automated. By itself, it's a completely nice and a completely okay measurement to have, and we all do it. But again, something is missing. What is that? I can automate. You have different user roles, different sign-ins, different login forms. I can automate 100 of those. Are they enough? Yes, they will shorten the time of test execution, but let's say the reality of it is that they do not give me any value. Just cut some time. That's it. So when you measure the percentage of test case automated, you need to take into consideration, this is my view as well, on how complicated that test is. So those are the traditional models of the QA team performance. Those are the ones that I still use, but I add my own measurements into it. We will see in the later slides. Now this is the hardest part. Actually, this is the employee KPIs or OKRs. I'm going to start with one that we have seen always, stack ranking. Stack ranking is ranking employees against each other. This happens a lot, and this is a very big problem. What does stack ranking mean? Stack ranking means that what I said a couple of minutes ago, I have executed 100 test cases in 8 hours, you have executed 200 test cases in 8 hours. Are we the same? Are you better than me? So we have seen, and I have seen, a lot of companies using stack rankings to create or to measure someone's performance. What it does, yes, me, if I'm the better one, if I executed more test cases, or whatever, closed more tickets, I'm taking the easiest example. That's great for me, but it's not so great for the other party. The next one is utilization rate. This one, I have to be honest, I have seen only when I was working as a consultant. So this is how much time an employee is spending on billable activities. I have worked as a consultant. I have been on the bench as well. I have been billable as well. This one is very tricky. Why? It doesn't mean that if you're not billable, you're not giving something to the team. You might help other colleagues. You might do something in the background like POCs. You might learn some new technologies. We know, I always say that the QA is the hardest to do. Why? Because you have different plans. So this is more on the let's say consultancy territory. You have different plans. You need Java, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript. You really need to kind of learn them all. Then you have performance testing. Then you have load testing, so like JMeter, load runner, something like that. Then you have Android, iOS, really all of the technologies. And when you're working in companies that are consultancy, not all of them, don't get me wrong, but some of them are changing your projects in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, depending on the situation. So utilization rate is something that we really need to, at least in my opinion, to exclude from the employee KPIs. Customer satisfaction. How satisfied the customers are with the end product? Is there a customer satisfied ever? I guess not. So this one, again, a tricky one because we know customers. We know that they're really never satisfied. Something happens to any customer, he's not happy with some issues that are very trivial, like this button should be a, I don't know, bolt or whatever. So this one should not be taken into consideration of grading or measuring performance of our employees. Because customer, it will always find something to complain about. Next one would be productivity targets. Quality instead of quantity instead of quality. We have all been in those kind of situations. You have a suit, let's say, or a regression that you need, or a new feature that you need really, by the estimations, like 5 days a week, full working week to execute. But then a project manager or somebody says, no, we have to deliver by Wednesday. So productivity targets is really something that I'm against, because it always is quantity against quality. And in our business, in quality assurance, quality should be the first and then the quantity. Or quantity should be excluded. The error rate. So this one is the emphasizing error reduction without considering the complexity of the job. It all happens. It happens to me. It happens to everybody that you miss something. It goes to production. It's a bug. Client complains about it. It's a nice edge case you haven't seen, and it's completely fine. It happens. But there are some companies that are going to measure you on those things. It really makes no sense, because you have prevented millions of issues, millions of bugs. One is slipping away, and you as a QA, you're in the first line to get shot. It's always like this. So error rate, yes, it's a nice way to measure something, but it really needs something more in behind in order to be a nice performance measurement tool, let's say. The extra mile, we have all been there. Has the employee gone the extra mile to bring in more value? How do you measure this really? If I am on a project and if they're measuring me whether I went the extra mile, how is that possible? I have tasks on the project, I have 8 hours completely booked, I cannot do anything. Why are you measuring me whether I have done the extra mile, or why you bring up during the performance reviews, why you bring up you haven't done the extra mile? Do you know why, if I have done it or not? What's behind it? Have you asked me how many tickets I have closed? Have you asked me what I have learned? Have you asked me how many bugs I have prevented? Why measure me the extra mile? Do we expect that we are going to do extra hours every day? We are going to work at weekends? No. Deadlines. So this is in kind of connected to the productivity targets. Deadlines are constantly pushing for tight deadlines. We are in this business that we have to deliver quickly, and that's why we need deadlines, of course, but all the deadlines need to make sense. It need to make sense because when you ask a deadline, you have to include all the stakeholders. What I have seen, QA is never included from the, let's say, from the first step, from the requirement development or whatever. So you really, when deadlines are measured by the team, they need to understand our job as well. Not only how much time you needed to develop the thing. It needs to be tested. And the nicest one, I love this one, certificates. How many certificates have you done? And I have seen this in many companies. Why certificates? I can just now, behind this projector, turn on Udemy and it will go and I will get the certificate. What value does it bring to the company? What is the certificate for you? I'm also, I have to say this, I'm also against ISTQB. It's just to be. So, certificates, yes, they're nice for you if you want to learn something, but if you're going to get graded in my team, on how many certificates we have done, no, that brings zero value to my team. Nothing. So let's see now, from what I have seen, that was the boring part, let's say, we have all seen all the KPIs. So now let's see why performance metrics fall short. Here I will use a real world scenario. And here I have one graph. One is yellow team and one is the purple team. The target is by the end of the year, they should reach 100%. 100. This case is 100, automated scripts doesn't matter. They should reach the number of 100. The yellow team is unbelievably bad. People are fired, people are leaving, newcomers, they're arguing between themselves. It's a really dysfunctional team. It's a really toxic environment. It's the worst team you have seen. But at the end of week 52, the stars align, everything is fine on that day, exactly when you get measured, and they reach the 100% target, or whatever it is. The purple team is a steady team. Nobody's leaving, everybody's happy, so it's completely the opposite of the yellow team. But at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, they do not reach the 100%. Which team is going to be rewarded? The yellow one, unfortunately. The yellow one. And this is why I said that we are promoting toxicity in our working environments. The yellow team will get all the bonuses, all everything, all the recognitions. The purple team will get nothing. They will reach their target in 4 weeks. 4 weeks plus, they will reach their target, the purple one. But they haven't reached on the day, and they get nothing. I much rather be part of this team than the yellow one. Yes, give me a bonus, I will be happy for a month. But I will be unhappy for 11 months. So, when we measure performance, we need to take into consideration the momentum and the context. Because as I said, the yellow team, it was the week 50, I don't know, 2% of whatever, test cases or whatever, something happened. But then stars aligned, moon, everything, they reached 100. That's in the long run, maybe in the short run works for the companies. They will get money, if it's a sales, they will reach the sale target, whatever. They will get all the money and everything is fine. But in the long run, it creates a really toxic environment and it's really not healthy for the company and the teams themselves. So I would much rather be, again, part of the purple team than be part of the yellow team. Then we have performance versus trust. So this is something that we really need to take into consideration. Performance is nice, we know how to measure it, but how we measure trust and what trust means. Again, I have a sort of a graph here. We measure trust and performance. So we take person. Performance is, let's say, something that happens during the meetings, and trust is something that happens between those meetings. So something that is not work-related. How much I trust you. We all want to have every single Q engineer in our team, we all want to have it 100% trust and 100% performance. We all want to have this person. That's the perfect guy. Nobody wants to have zero trust and zero performance. I mean, that means they don't do anything. But what happens if you have 100 performance but zero trust? This is in terms of the previous slide. So they will reach the goals, they are perfect, but nobody trusts that person. Do you want that guy in your team? I guess not. I guess not. It's nice to have somebody that will always reach your goals, but if you do not have trust and if you do not trust them, then it makes no sense to have them. There was actually a nice presentation online that I have seen about SEALs Team 6. That's one of the highest performing teams in the world, the US military. And what they came up is actually the same graph. What they came up is they better have a high trust and low or medium performer in their team than having a high performer and zero trust. Because in our business, it's trusting whether you have, I don't know, tested certain issues, tested certain cases and stuff like this. They trust with life. Their life depends on it. So on the battlefield, he might be the best performing, but if they don't trust you, if you don't have my back, then you are not in our team. So this really is what the graph says. I better have high trust on a lower performer Q engineer because you will always teach him or teach her the job that needs to be done. Everybody is teachable. So, the fun part, how do we measure trust? I don't know. I don't know how we measure trust. Nobody does. But we are humans. We always have this gut feeling about somebody. And we need to trust it. We need to trust that feeling. So there is no measurement about trust. It doesn't exist. You cannot measure how much I trust you. Never. But let's see what it takes to create a trusting team. The first one is listen. We always have to listen. Listen to the problems, listen to the daily work, listen their needs, listen everything your team is saying to you. Second one is empower. Empower means giving them power to make their own decisions. Empower them to take their own decisions, to make to say if you're doing something because we all have done something that is wrong or the team means that is wrong, and empower them to cut you off, empower them to be against you. That's healthy. We should not work in a team where the lead or the manager always has the last word. That's a really toxic environment. Assist of anything. The people that have most experience should assist juniors, seniors, whatever, whenever it's needed. It's very important, and I always tend to say the seniors and the leads should be in the team just to assist other people. So they should be like a floating point, jumping from team to team, just to assist. Because when you were a junior, somebody assisted you. Somebody taught you, you did something, courses, whatever. Then you became senior. Again, you have been in that position for some years, and that's why naturally you grow as a senior. But then you become a lead. That's the last develop. Then you become a lead. What happens? Nobody is teaching you how to be a lead. Nobody is teaching you what you need to do to be a lead. Lead is not just a title. Lead is not just giving you a better salary. Lead is somebody who puts themselves in front of the team. It's there to take all the blame. It's there to not take any good results. Always the team first. That's why how we create a trusting team starts with the leads, starts with the middle management. Middle management or leads managers, depending on the team, it's one of the hardest work you need to do. Why? You need to translate what the top management says to the lower hierarchies, and you need to say to the top management what the lower hierarchies are asking. So you always need to balance here on how to communicate. You always need to communicate a little bit more openly of course, always, but you need to communicate in a different way with the people that you lead and in a different way with the people that lead you actually, so the top management. I would say that I don't know how to trust people, but I know how to create an environment when everybody trusts everybody. I know what I need to do in order to trust my engineers and they to trust me. I much rather have a trusting team than have a high-performing team, to be honest. So I will end my presentation with a couple of points here. The performance metrics are not wrong. It's completely fine, but they're incomplete. So we always measure numbers, we never measure context. We never measure how we reached certain goal. That's the second point, use context and momentum when measuring performance. What happens is a lot of companies are measuring performance at the end of the year. 11 months, you're the best employee. 1 month, something is happening with you, whether it's a private issue or whatever, you're not that great. You're going to be measured by that 1 month, nothing more. And that's why 1 year reviews are very bad. Quarters or even half a year, that's okay. And at the end, create safe and trusting environment. That's the most important part. If I don't trust, or if my team is not trusting me as their lead, then we are having a huge problem. Then my word has no meaning to them, then their word has no meaning to me. I can do whatever I want, they will do whatever I want. Here is the toxicity, here is the dysfunctionality of the teams. I hope I brought you my ways of viewing how to measure performance and how to trust your team and how to create a better team. So, are there any questions?
Can I ask something practical that you've implemented or are implementing to create trust in the team? Really?
Yes, that's a great question. Luke is actually a colleague of mine, an ex-one. Thank you very much for that question. So, how at the current company, how we organize things? Again, the top management says how many test cases you have automated. Give me a number. Or there is an OKR. This quarter you have to reach 60 test cases. Okay, what happened? And this is a real case scenario. What happened is I had so many other things to do because the QA department was not developed at all. So you need so many other things to do. The last month before reaching the target, I automated 60 test cases. And that's the spike. And this is something that I really started questioning myself. If I am going to be like that, if I'm going to be like the yellow team that you saw, then we have a problem. Now what we do, the automation process, or because the automation is it's a big topic at the moment in our company, the automation process needs to go really steady and slow. So you have a schedule during the day where you dedicated an hour or 2 hours of your time just for that automation. I don't care if you automate a test case. I don't care. Just spend that hour, ask me questions. Let's go on a meeting. Let's discuss what the automation is all about. I will train you. I will teach you. I don't care if you reach a number, but I do expect that by the end of the year, you will be comfortable, not rich, but comfortable, reaching 1 script per day. Comfortable. So that's the key word. I'm not going to grade you if you don't teach 1 script per day, but you should feel comfortable to do it. So this is, it's really a play of words. If I'm going to say you have to reach that target, then I'm kind of creating resentment towards the topic. So it's always, you need to be comfortable doing your job. Hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Yes?
When you say 1 script a day, how big is that test that you do during a day? What does it cover? Is it like just 1 functionality or a ticket, or what do you mean?
Thank you for the question. I will repeat the question just for the mic so it will be recorded. When I talk about, so the question was, when I talk about automated scripts, how big those scripts need to be, whether it's a whole functionality or it's just 1 ticket. It's just 1 ticket. So it really, I'm assigning, we have divided the functionalities between tickets, let's say sections, and then assigning every week, assigning 1 ticket. And again, I'm not going to measure you or your performance on how many tickets you have closed that quarter. We are a young company. We are just starting the automation process. 2 of me and another colleague knows the automation process, knows how to do test automation. But the 2 other engineers that we have are manual testers. So you need to start from the beginning. Is it fair that I get graded on the same way as them? No, because I will reach the target. I will just sit down and I will just automate, nothing more. And I will reach my target, and he will not. And I will be given a bonus, and he will not. So it really is not about numbers. It's about what you bring to the table. And at the end of the year, I do expect them to be comfortable doing the automation. Okay, if there are no other questions. Oh, yes, sorry.
Sorry to disturb you a bit, but I do have some comments and questions. First of all, excellent presentation. I think it's very relevant, especially in I would say this year it's quite relevant because most of the IT market is in a disturbance, so times are not great as they were this time last year. And I think that today more than ever, basically these types of questions are being asked, and possible wrong conclusions are being extrapolated from that. Can I just ask you, can you move to your first slide or a bit, or the second one? Where was the models? Yeah. So thank you for starters, because this is actually my nightmare for the past 3 years. I've been working on a project that we are doing for an external client. And that external client is a hardware-based company, and they have a person who's, I swear, his whole point of his workplace is to make my life miserable.
Let me guess, a test manager.
Nah, he's a supplier quality manager.
Again, a manager.
Basically, this is the I would say problem, but also the solution. One of the things that I've been asked to deliver each month is basically these numbers, and while I'm not strictly against them, I think that we have to be, as you said, very careful not to use them as a whole career. I don't think that we don't need performance metrics. We need them, but with a couple of caveats here. They need to be easy to set up and maintain. So they need to be something that will help us, not burden us. And they need to be more of, let's say, a sign, a direction to indicate, okay, what's happening and where are we doing okay and where can we improve. They must not be the opposite. They need to indicate something.
What you said is perfectly well said, is that these KPIs or these measurements should help us and not burden us. Most of the time, they're burden us. Most of the time, they're burden us. Because this week you might automate one test case. Again, on test automation because that's the topic in my company. Well, one automated script, but that's a 1,000-line code. It's not 2-line code. It's not just a login. So again, those KPIs are nice. So performance measurements are okay. We need to add stuff to them to make our lives easier.
Second thing that I would like to briefly reflect is the utilization rate. I think that one is kind of tricky because it really depends on the company you are working with.
Yes.
For instance, Infinum is the digital agency. That means that we bill by the hour. That means that we get paid by the hour we are able to bill to the client. So every non-billable hour is some money that we need to come up from something.
Yes.
That being said, I think that it's quite important to have like a healthy utilization target. Let's say between 75% and 85%, depending on the environment of the project, whatever. We need to be careful to not spend too much time not working on something that can be utilized and build. But also, we need to be very careful to give enough time for our colleagues, our employees, enough time for them to work on themselves, to educate themselves, to reflect on themselves, to have team building activities, to have trust building activities. So everything that will eventually lead to creating a successful and profitable team.
That's why when I came to the utilization rate, I said not all companies. So don't get me wrong, but I have seen companies, and yes, healthy utilization rate or healthy bench is always needed. You need extra people to come in, help. People go on vacation, you're not going to lose the billable time, let's say, to the client. So in order to cover everything. But what happens if you lose a client that has more than 20 QA engineers, let's say? Are you going to fire them because your utilization rate from 70% became 20 all of a sudden? Are you going to fire them, and in a couple of months when new clients arise, you will hire them all again? So really, it does make sense, the utilization rate, but when it's healthy and when it's maintained that way.
And last, I promised, from me, deadlines. Quite recently, a colleague of mine sent me a video explaining that they're called deadlines, but nobody ever dies if they are not met. So
Exactly.
they are here more just to encourage you to reach some point.
Yeah, but actually they do stress you out. So, and that's the whole point of the deadlines. That's the whole point of when you have deadlines that are not realistic, that are actually making you more stressed, then and you start doing mistakes, you start resenting your job, you start doing all the bad things that you should not. So when the deadlines come, we need to be careful with the deadlines. If somebody from the team says, "Hey, I cannot do it in 2 days," then we should believe it.
That's how you build the Yellow team.
That's how you build. Yes, exactly. With unrealistic deadlines. It will be reached. It will be. We will stay today until 8 p.m. whatever. It will be reached. But what's the toll? What's the physical toll and the psychological toll of our team?
No, I just want to ask if you can reach the deadline really.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, really.
Yes, we have reached all the deadlines in my current company. But I'm lucky because first of all, it's our own product. We don't have, let's say, clients from our other companies or whatever. And the team is completely understanding, and they're taking our let's say, estimates or our saying as a QA team to their planning sessions. Yes, we have been burning sometimes that we need to deliver something, but that happened only, let's say, I'm there 7 months, happened once. That's okay-ish, let's say. Yes.
I want to make a rewind on your presentation about automating testing and manual testing. You said, am I now an automation tester and I will get the bonus, the other ones and the other parts of the team because they are manual testers, they will not get nothing. Most of the school who make courses and etc. says automation testing is the future.
No.
So,
no.
Yes, I agree with it. Automation testing is the future. How can you make automation testing if you know the basis of the...
What is the automation testing?
Manual testing.
Exactly. So what is the automation testing actually? You're telling a computer a set of steps that needs to be executed, and that's it. And he will always execute those steps and nothing outside that box. It will not think by itself. And that's why you need manual testing always. Design issues. Yes, they can be automated, but that's kind of hard. Everything can be automated, but no, automation is not the future of testing.
Yes, because I have a friend from other IT company that says we have so much test cases and test scenarios, and at the end of the project there was one automation tester who wants to make all the automation test cases, only automation, not manual. It feels disgusting from the manual testing. You just want to make automation test cases. I said, okay, it's not usual, it's not normal.
Then I have a question for this person. When were the most bugs have you found? During the test automation or manual effort? Of course. Because you think about edge case scenarios, you think about other scenarios. Automation is there to help you. Logins, registration, whatever. But something that is boring and repeating.
You miss all the methodology.
Yes, exactly. So test automation, no, it's not the future.
Yeah,
It is a helpful tool, of course.
But you can find in old school 80% automation testing is the future.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. So again, if there are no questions, I will leave my last slide open for Giga, a minute. Sorry, so this is my contact information, just scan the code, it's my LinkedIn profile. Thank you all, thank you for Infinum, thank you for Giga for inviting me. It meant a lot. Thank you very much.